This time we are going to start developing the webpack. We are going to use TypeScript and webpack to develop our three.js applications. So let's get started. So let me first make a directory where we will work webpack, explore webpack, TypeScript, three.js, and then you can go into that webpack, TypeScript, and three.js. So please note the directory structure that I will be developing here because it's critical to the way we package and compile. So Webpack is like a production tool. So it will bundle up all the resources, put all the JavaScript or TypeScript files together, connect it to the HTML and CSS files. So it's one way of packaging and publishing the JavaScript application. Okay, specifically for the browser, yeah. And it will also serve the file, so we can include materials and load 3D objects. We could do that even with parcel that we saw previously. All right, let's keep going here. So we need a client, make directory dist. Dist is typical. Dist just stands for distributable. Then we need source, and then we just say npm init-y. Okay, so this is what our directory structure looks like right now. Let's go into dist, and in dist we will create a client, and then we will also create a server. So inside of dist we have client and server. Similarly, we have to go to source, and here we create a client and a server. So we'll write our code inside of src or source, and that will be the code will not be in JavaScript. So we'll write in TypeScript now, and we will compile it. So it will compile everything and put all the elements together, and it will serve and it will place it inside of the dist folder. So in dist, actually, we will create our index.html file. I know it is a bit twisted, but it will help us in many ways because JavaScript can be a bit tricky to control. So TypeScript provides this type safe way of working, which is preferred. And it will help us build object oriented code, which is better for maintenance and larger projects. Okay, so I think we have dist client, and actually here let me just also make a file called, so this is where we will have our index.html, and this index.html will call what we will say is bundle.js. That bundle.js is the combination of all the JavaScript, I mean the TypeScript widgets compiled into one file, one bundle.js file. Okay, so let's actually just go out to the root. So right now we are on root, and this is our folder structure. This is where we'll call code. Code change. Okay, right. So everything seems to be in order. Right. Let's don't want to start with Python. So let's do one thing. Let's get started with installing all Node.js dependencies, all the dependencies of the project. Uh, Before we do that, one thing, if you have TypeScript, if you don't have TypeScript, you should do npm. By the way, so we are working with Visual Studio Code, and you need to have Node.js installed. Okay, so npm install location and global TypeScript. We want to do this to make sure that we have TypeScript globally available to us, and then we can do a tscv, that is, so we know that TypeScript we have. We need to make sure we have Node.js and we have npm working. Okay, so just test for Node.js, and if you don't have it, you can get it from the Node.js website. It's all over. It's very common. It's very, very, very popular. So you won't have any problems with that. All right, let's get started here. So let's get started with the npm dependency. So I'm going to do a npm install 3 and do a save dev. Actually, let's do npm install. Let's do the TypeScript version of three.js. So types at 3 will make it available or usable in that modular form where it is better for the TypeScript code. Then we can do an npm install. Now we have to install all the webpack. So webpack, then we want webpack CLI, and then we want pack dev. We want server, then want to merge, finally ts loader. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I think I typed everything correctly, so it should install. And okay, so we have everything set up for us now. We have all the dependencies. Mm, let's go to index.html. Okay, so we'll use the exclamation and tab emet to generate this, and we can say that script type is equal to module, and the source will be bundle.js. So you see that we are here under dist root, dist client, and then we have index.html file. Now what we will do is when we compile the TypeScript files, they will generate a bundle.js file and they will place it in client. So that's why this index.html will find the bundle.js and it will render that. Okay, right now we haven't done anything. And inside of source client, src client, that's where we'll write all our TypeScript code. Okay, so let's actually mm, let's actually start let me just put in all the files that we will need. The first file will be client.ts. This is where we'll put in the three.js code. Then, so TS is TypeScript if you're wondering, and TS config. So we need a JSON. Okay, and let's just finish this because this is quite straightforward. So we give a compiler options, and this will be module resolution will be node, and we'll have the strict version. Okay, so we have the compiler options, and then we will have the include options. So this will be an array, and here we put in any TS file. Okay, so any TS file that it finds, then let's see, 1, 2, source and client, specifically hours. And once more, okay, let's do one more. Source client. Wherever we finds a file, let it just do the compilation. Okay, then let's do the webpack common. So what we will do in webpack common dot common.js, and we will also create we won't do a production today. Let's just do a webpack common and webpack dev. So in webpack common, we need path. This is a Node.js module, so Node.js sort of shifts with that. So we just have to call it module export. So it will export an entry that will be source client. Okay, made a typo. Client.ts. Then we'll have a module. Then we will have resolve function. Resolve a. Then we have output. Okay, I think that's it. So let's go from bottom up. Let's start with what you want as the output. Let's say file name will be bundle.js. Okay. Then the path will be path.resolve dir name. So dir name is the top level directory, and to that we will connect. We need to go here. Test client. So you see, we are basically going and saying that we want a bundle.js file right here, test client, right next to index.html. Okay, then in resolve means what are the extensions that it has to look for. tsx, then ts, and then js. All of this makes sense to the compilers. Then in module we can give in some rules. Let's say, what are the typical rules? We will have a test, then we will have a use, and then we will exclude something. So I'm just showing you this so that it's clear. Ah, so we will exclude node module. So this will not be. We'll have as little of node modules as possible. So loader, that's what will create the whole thing. Uh, and then this is a simple, what is that called? A regular expression, TypeScript. Uh, and so within this, the forward slash. So we are defining that within the forward slash, just try to figure out TSX or TS modules. Okay. So I mean the extensions. So we have this. Okay. And I think we are, so this is the, yeah, webpack.dev. But this is the main important thing to understand. Webpack common. Now in webpack dev, what we will do is, this is the, uh, we need to combine all the files together. That's why we need the merge, like multiple webpack files if you want to merge. Const common. And then we are going to define what are the modules we uh, export. Mode, we are in the development mode. We won't do production today. Okay, and finally you have to define the dev server. So any static files we define here, this will be the directory path. Sorry, this is dist client. And we also, as soon as we make a change, we want to review the changes. So that should just get updated. So we have the entire thing set up now. And let's write the three.js code. Okay, so this is the TypeScript version of it. So we have seen some of the commands before, and it's not really that different from JavaScript as three. So const. I'm going to keep it very simple for this. We have seen the scene camera, so near, far. So we have set up the camera, and we just the camera a little bit so that it doesn't sit on top of the origin. Position.set. You can do a position.set 10. Actually, in TypeScript, we don't need semicolons, so out of habit, I'm typing semicolons. Um, so we have set up the camera. Now let's do a renderer. Okay, so scene camera renderer. New 3 dot webgl1 webgl renderer. Then I didn't define it before. So see, this is the good thing about TypeScript. It's giving me the error. So JavaScript won't give me an error tip like normally. Uh, I'm not leaving spaces because we have done this many times before, so it should be obvious. So and renderer dot set size, and this is a function. So window dot inner width, window dot height, and then so document, we add this renderer to the document body, whatever is at the bottom, body dot child dot tom element. Okay, so we have everything ready. Uh, let's just make a normal box. Okay, right now let's just do a box and we will render that box to the scene. So let let's box will be equal to 3 dot box geometry geometry. uh, we can leave it at that. So length, width and height, then material will be new mesh. So since we are not doing lights, we'll just do a mesh basic material. We'll do a color x1 2 3 3 6, then let mesh is equal to new 3 dot mesh 3 dot mesh, that will be made of the geometry and the material, and then scene add mesh. So next, what do we need next? We need a renderer, I mean a render function, and we need a infinite animation loop. So let's make a, actually we can just, I think we can get away with this. Scene comma, this should work. And now we have to write the uh, command with which we will execute our application. So let's say it will be a dev npm run dev, and this will be, so this will serve the webpack, and we will give the configuration file source client webpack js. Okay, so this is our main configuration file. With that, I think if we haven't made any typos, this should work. And we have made something, some error. Right, so I found 3 typos. The first typo is in webpack dev.js. I had dot dot forward slash this client, but they should actually be the dot dot forward slash and dot dot forward slash. So it was trying to write somewhere else. Okay, so that is the first typo. Second typo was it should be module dot exports. I had module dot export. So that was the second. And the third typo is I didn't have uh, dots before the extension. So that again was giving me an error. So these were the 3 typos that I just corrected. And coming back, we run dev. So we should have probably seen the found the mistakes online, but you saw the error was HTML entities, and the entities immediately told me that this is where the problem was. Okay, npm run dev. This should now compile. Okay, so we have successfully compiled now. Finally, let's look at our geometry. So we can see that there's nothing, it's just a black screen. So let me say, I think it is camera.lookat. Once we do that, yes, we can see the some sort of a geometry has been rendered, and we can go ahead and start developing the animation loops and so on. So maybe we can do a little bit of that. So let me put this in a function. Let me put the renderer in a function, call it render. Okay, then let's make an animation loop and call request animation frame in the animation, sorry, loop. And before that, let me call render, and let's call this animation loop here. Okay, so everything is working fine. Now, there is a typical practice of doing something like an update function. So we update, we render, and the sequence is something like this. So in the infinite loop, we have update and render functions. So in the update function, we can do mesh dot. So let me start doing showing you some very simple rotation tricks, and rotating along the x-axis, it rotates along the y-axis as well. And the reason, one problem is that we're looking at it diagonally. That's why it looks like it's setting a very weird shape. So if we look at it like this, and if we don't do y, so it should now rotate only along x-axis. The motion looks much smoother. Uh, so we haven't set up controls or anything of that sort. All right, so let's come back. Let's adopt this technique, and let's move forward with three.js. Thank you.